Item A is the Digital Learning Initiative. So we have some, looks exciting, folks with us.
Didn't like being tweeted.
Ms. Ginger King, Mrs. Brenda Spurgeon, and Mrs. Linda Hagan will present information about the district's Digital Learning Initiative.
Hello. Thank you for letting us join you guys tonight again and talk about this kind of our state of the state address, I guess, of the current progress that we're making in our digital learning initiative. And our main focus tonight is going to be our use of technology in the classrooms. So less about the network side that you usually always hear me talk about, more about what we're doing in our classrooms and how it's impacting our students. But of course, before we get there, I would be remiss if I didn't give you just a little background of how it is that we've gotten to where we're at today. So as you know, over the years, we've created a district technology plan, and it's our guideline for how we move forward and measure our progress. Our 3-year plan includes goals for student learning, teacher expectations, and network infrastructure. We developed our latest plan that you all approved and we sent to DESE back in 2012. And we developed it to be innovative, but yet sustainable, which is important, and also to have a measured growth approach. We felt it was really important to make sure that whatever we were doing, we always use the word measured because we're not just jumping on the latest bandwagon. We are making sure that it's the best laid plan and that we can, it's best developed and we can meet our end goal. So in order to modernize our classrooms and address our student learning goals, this year we focused our plans on how to update our curriculum and address our access to student technology. We adopted and implemented what we are calling our hybrid model. You know, there was a group of us that kind of formed a committee and went to several different districts. We read different technology plans. Several districts chose BYOD, several chose District 1 provided devices, and we chose it's a blend of both. We felt that best fit our needs. We wanted students to have that real world experience of being able to use their own devices, and yet we knew that we also needed to provide that accessibility and equality to all students because not every student was bringing a device, so we wanted to address that as well. So we came up with our hybrid model. So students, high school students and adult students, we are allowing them to bring their own devices and attach to our network, but we're also provided this year, we have over 500 iPads in carts, as well as 600 laptops and netbooks. We have 17 computer labs and computers in every classroom that we're maintaining as well as those devices. There's multiple carts in every building, and we find that teachers mainly are using those carts. There are teachers that are using BYOD, but when they want to do a big group project, they're wheeling in those carts. So we recognized also in this technology plan that there would be a large financial obligation that we would need to meet, and that the funding of the tech plan, you know, we have that commitment. So the bulleted items there are all the areas that we knew we needed to focus on. We've managed to meet all those financial obligations, and we continue to look at all those in each of those areas and monitor our progress. And where we need, maybe where we need to make a few changes, we continue to update that, and we've been able to maintain a fiscally sound budget that I'm really proud of. It's always important. So our biggest mind shift change, I guess, was in our professional development. We knew that the 1 hour after school was not going to meet. I've talked to you guys about that before multiple times. So we kind of took a look back and we prioritized PD this year. It's always been a priority, but we looked at it a different direction, I guess. We knew that it was necessary for us to provide that a more systematic approach to it. Release time, that's what we always heard from teachers, is that the 1 hour, we always called it the hit and get, and that they weren't able to go back and implement that into their classrooms. So we wanted to set aside professional development funding to make sure that we could address those teacher needs, so that they could integrate it more effectively and make a bigger difference. So we have really looked at professional development today, and that'll be a part of the latter part of this discussion tonight. We wanted to we always are reviewing and revising that plan, our technology plan. It is not a stagnant plan by any means. We did just conduct a student survey at the high school. It was pretty small. We were planning to do it this week, and we've not been here to, so there's only about 225 students that we actually got to, but we wanted to share a little bit of those results with you today. There were several other questions, but these were, just so that you know, we did have a significant investment in the wireless infrastructure. So we do have students that are using it. I will tell you that if we turned the ability to have Facebook and Twitter on, we would probably be using it a lot more, but they stay on their own wireless so that they don't have to flip back and forth to be able to have access to those social networking sites. This one was, I know this was really important for Brenda to see this number, and all of us, because we've been working so much with My Big Campus. We want to know that students find this beneficial, not that it's just, we believe that this is the tool that we've invested in, but also that the students are finding it beneficial. So that was a good number.
Is that about what you expected?
Well, we always hope it to be a little bit higher, Greg, but we were happy with 2/3.
Okay.
But as we're going to do another survey in late April, and we're hoping to see that we'll bring those numbers back to you. Hope those numbers will be a little higher. As teachers, I would also say as teachers become more familiar with using it in their classrooms and that technology is being used more, students will, it'll be. So here, students are using devices to complete schoolwork. That's great. And also, it's not on the slide, but I did want to let you know that one of the questions was, what's your access to internet at home, not at school? And I know that's always a question that everyone has, and that response was over 90%, so that they have access to some type, whether it was a smartphone, it could have been dial-up, or high-speed internet. Over 90 had some type of internet at home. And again, it's a small segment. We wanted it to be larger, but timing. So, in order, I'll get ready and turn this over to Brenda. In order to, always it's about student success for us. And in order to address that, it really goes back to professional development. And that's what we were talking about with My Big Campus, with everything. We know that having our teachers prepared will have a greater impact on our students, and we know that it just flows that way. So Brenda, would you like to come up and talk a little bit about what we've done with professional development and to give you all that glimpse of what we're doing in our classrooms?
So our continued focus through all this digital learning initiative is our student success. We want our students to achieve. We want them to have tools that allow them to create new products, to communicate with each other, because we know that there's a lot of times tightly glued to their phones, but when you have to work together, we know the skill that they need for the real world. Just, again, collaboration. We have tools now that can engage every student, and you'll see throughout our presentation tonight that that's one of our key successes through all this is when you put devices in every student's hand, you get every student engaged in what is happening in that classroom. Very rarely do Linda or I ever see a student that's disengaged and not with what the rest of the class is doing when they have that device in front of them. Our teachers are well trained on how to guide students to do what they're supposed to do, and our students are meeting that challenge. We have great students now that are respecting, the tools that we're giving them. They know that they're in a great school, and it's just amazing to watch. So as Ginger was talking about, one of our big changes this year from our pilot program last year, we learned that our teachers needed that in-service time, and that has been key from our professional development days to building in-service days where we supply subs in their classrooms. So a recap of what we have going on this year, we have 2 groups of teachers called the iTeach team. And you'll see there we have them divided into 2 groups, a 3 through 6 group with 16 teachers and a grade 7 through 12 group with 14 teachers. Those teachers moved more rapidly with their new skills that they were learning compared to our focus group. But our focus group is also learning how to implement My Big Campus, learning how to use iPads effectively in their classroom, learning how to transform their lessons. And so we have every 3rd through 6th grade teacher is either in a focus group or the iTeach, except for a few of our brand new teachers. And then in grades 7 through 12, we have 19 teachers. These teachers are primarily from our core subject areas right now. Math, science, English, social studies is where we started with this pack. And over we hear that that time is invaluable. And you guys have heard this for years. We can put devices, we can put 500 iPads out in the district, but without the training behind it and knowing really how to use it, it's so much more than how to turn it on. Turning on an iPad's easy. Effectively implementing in your classroom is the bigger challenge. And so here's a little breakdown of what is expected of each one of our teachers. We've moved so that our new teachers are all required for 15 hours of training, which has not been a problem at all. They were given 2 half-day in-services throughout in 1st quarter and 3rd quarter. iTeach has had a full 8 in-service days, and that's starting with this summer throughout the school year. We meet with them once a quarter. Focus group, 5 days. iPad users have 2 days. So everybody's getting trained like crazy. And then all of our other faculty still have 3 hours. And you'll see a picture up there of the administrators yesterday that were actually doing some continued technology training along the way too. We meet with them approximately once a quarter. And yesterday we were showing them the skills that the teachers were learning in their classroom so they know what's happening. Something else that we had as a goal last year that we've seen, sorry about that, happen is we are now having our teachers teach teachers this year. And what
Brenda, are you having trouble with the technology?
I am, I'm gonna stop doing that. So on some of our PD days, okay, I'm gonna leave it there a minute. On some of our PD days, we have had our teachers now that have been through iTeach. They're training their own colleagues. We've done that at the high school. We just did a whole K through 7 implementation on our January workday. We had 13 to 15 sessions that all of our K through 7 teachers got to pick from, and they all attended a 1-hour session hearing their own colleagues present what was happening in the classroom. And Linda and I think it went very well. We got great feedback from them actually hearing from someone besides us. Now, how are you using it in your classroom? They've heard about these tools, and so we continue to want to implement that, teachers teaching other teachers too, and watching that grow. That's only going to help us get better. I left this up here because in the last couple years you've heard us talk about flipping the classroom, and so I wanted to give you an update. Well, after trying things with flipping the classroom, really what we find best is kind of a hybrid model of it also. Sometimes you will see where a teacher has videoed a lesson and the students are watching it right there in class, so the teacher is able to walk around the classroom while the students are maybe watching a lab setup. Okay? Instead of the teacher up in front and everybody's expected to see how they're setting up for a science lab, that setup is already recorded. They get their iPads out, they can rewind it, they can watch it as many times as they want. We are taping instructions still so that our students that are absent can do it, or when we have a sub in the classroom, that a sub can show the screencast of a teacher. So the whole entire idea of flipping the classroom where a video is watched at night and then the students are expected to do their homework in class. Our students still want interaction with their teacher presenting the lesson in some form, but it has given us the flexibility at least to tape some of these lessons and use them for relearning, for modification, etc. Okay, and I'm going to turn this over to Linda a minute and let her tell you kind of what's happening inside the classrooms.
Yeah, Brenda highlighted the professional development for the iTeach groups, but how does the professional development carry over into the classroom? You know, it doesn't matter if the teachers aren't taking that jump from sitting and learning themselves to bringing it into the classroom. So we wanted to show you a video of what it looks like in the classroom. I have to say, there's times when I've made videos like this where you're really trying to pull stuff to promote what you're doing. But we had so much to choose from that this, 2-3 minute video really could have been 20-30 minutes of flashing through slides. The teachers, especially the iTeach and Focus teachers, have really embraced what we're doing in professional development, and they're taking it back to their classrooms. So I have to give them credit for what they're doing. Hey, Brenda, so. There are 4 areas that I'd like to take a closer look at. And the first area is coming. It is coming. The first area is using the microphone, especially the microphone on the iPads. In fact, I kind of have gotten to the point where I take the microphone for granted because it is so easy to use. The kids, it's built in, so any app on the iPad that needs the microphone, it automatically works. There's no setting it up. There's no extra work for the students to do. So it makes making presentations, narrating what they're doing, explanations, making student screencast, and it makes it so much easier. In this example, the German students are practicing speaking, having conversations, so that they can critique themselves. The next.
You see it's not a traditional classroom anymore. We don't have to be sitting at desks.
Yeah.
We're outside the classrooms. You'll typically see that.
The next that I want to highlight is QR codes. QR codes in this example were used to link to research resources so that students can use their iPad or their iPhone or any smart device and automatically go to a website. So instead of having to type in, these long websites, it's just a quick, take a picture of it and it goes right to the website. I know some of the teachers in the elementary are using QR codes for, they'll have a math problem and the students will solve their math problem and then the students will take a picture or use the QR code to check to see if their problem is right. I mean, there's nothing like immediate feedback when you have teachers who are setting up worksheets, but nonetheless, they're taking their worksheets to a little bit higher level for the students. So QR codes, they're linking them to flashcard sites. But just another way technology, closer look at technology in action. Student response site. There's a student response site, I think we've talked about it before, called Infused Learning. But when Infused Learning, it's different than having the clickers because the clickers were only as good as multiple choice questions. So they were very limited. Where the student response site that we use in Infused Learning, the students can actually write on the iPad, they can actually solve a math problem on the iPad, and the teacher gets all the results. So there's nothing better than checking for understanding that way and doing it on the fly. So it's not having to be pre-planned. When this teacher reaches that point in the lesson where they need to see where the students are at, who's got it, who doesn't, they can throw one of these questions out and use Infused Learning to judge where to go next in their lesson. So very powerful. It's effective both on the iPad and on the laptop. Of course, on the iPad's a little bit easier because the students can write easier. Then the last look at technology in action is project collaboration. And we talk about 21st century skills. We talk about skills, workplace skills that the students need. And this mobile technology really affords the students to be able to go off, you can see in this picture, to work in small groups, to collaborate, to get an assignment done, a job done. So in math classes, you're hearing a lot of math talk going on. Of course, in literature classes, a lot of discussions going on between students. So using a lot of different senses in order to learn. My big campus. My big campus between last year and this year. When I started here last year, my big campus, to me, I loved it. But I can't say a lot of the teachers did because it was still so quirky. There were still problems going on. Some parts of it just weren't functioning with ease of use that the teachers like. But I tell you, between last year and this year, it's just improved so much that the teachers are really embracing my big campus as a key component for classroom resources, for curriculum resources in the district. It's really becoming an amazing program. One of the things that we are working with teachers is for them to make classroom pages. So a classroom page, even though I don't want to use the word virtual classroom because it gives the connotation of online classroom, but these classroom pages allow anytime, any place learning. So the students can look at a video here in the classroom. They can go home and look at the video at home, the screencast at home. So it's anywhere, anytime, for any of the resources that the teachers put together. So the teachers' pages, and I think where you see scientific methods, scientific tools, I believe that is one of our teacher pages. So they're taking curriculum matter and making resources for the students to use. Online schoolwork submission. This is the, students don't have the excuse for not turning in papers anymore because they can do it online so they won't lose it in between, or the dog won't eat their paper in between. The online schoolwork submission also allows for quizzes to be taken, and the quizzes are phenomenal in that the students get immediate feedback. They don't have to wait days, even though I know you're supposed to turn it over within 24 hours for getting papers, but you know, in the real world it sometimes takes days to get a test back. Everything's immediate. And what I've seen some of the students do is if they notice that they got a question wrong and they disagree with it, they can then present that to the teacher and give their reason for why, you know, give the reason for the answer that they gave. And I think that is great learning when the students can get the results right away and be able to look at them and question what was wrong. Shared resources. You'll see the RPS third grade resource example up there. The teachers, and this page was mostly built by Christopher, right? And the teachers, it's a combination of all the resources and for the curriculum for all the subject areas. Now Christopher's, let me see, he built the page for third grade. There's Reading Street resources on there, My Math resources, and at the focus training last week, the teachers began to collaborate on science resources. So instead of every teacher building their own, they're now collaborating. One took matter, one took weather, so they each took part of their curriculum and they started putting resources together. They decided that they wanted a video on there, a Quizlet, which is a flashcard website, and an interactive website on each curriculum page as minimum, so that teachers would, so that there would be a basis for what to start with. So the collaboration between buildings at grade levels has really taken on, and the teachers are really for this, because again, it's saving them time in the end in having to go and look for these resources themselves. Private file storage. My Big Campus allows, and I believe right now it's unlimited, private file storage, where the teachers can put files on here and then they can share them from their private file storage. So if a teacher wanted to put a study guide for their students, they could put it in their file storage and then share that study guide on an announcement with students. Do you have something else to say about it? Okay. The next one is that My Big Campus has is the Educational Resource Library, and they are continuing, teachers are continuing to put more and more resources in the library. The resources are videos, websites, all educational, all checked out by other teachers and by My Big Campus. So websites, videos, and what we call bundles, which is a group of resources all on one topic. So if a teacher is looking for information about weather, they can search for a weather bundle that will already have anything from worksheets to the videos to the websites already pre-made for them.
Will it predict snow any better than what?
I think you're doing a really good job.
Yeah. That's weather forecaster, a different
It
bundle.
doesn't matter.
It's a different bundle.
Like, just guess the weather would be something in that bundle?
Well, you know, I'm sure there's something in there about Missouri and how the weather can change and. And the last is another way that Brenda has found to use the resources of My Big Campus, and that is for sub-notes pages. I have to say that this is an awesome idea, and I will let Brenda talk about this.
So, you know, with all this moving forward with technology, teachers getting pulled out of the classroom, our teachers kept saying, so how can I use these tools when I have a sub? And so I brainstormed, I worked with the technology department, and we now have very simple a sub login so that when a sub sits there, they can log into the teacher computer. The teacher, we have it set up so when they hit Internet Explorer, it opens to their My Big Campus subnotes page. No login is required, but they can embed a video they want. They can embed a screencast that they've made. They can embed a worksheet, so it's really working nicely. I mean, it's not every teacher's doing it yet, but we are training them on how to do it. It's something that we're moving towards so that we're not losing instruction days when we're pulling our teachers out of the classroom. So I want you to hear now from teachers that are actually using this in their classroom. So this first one is audio taped from Deb Burke and Deb Heimbaugh, who are English language arts teacher at the junior high. And Craig, you might have to turn this up just a little bit when we get ready to play it. They have been a pair together in the iTeach team, and they're going to tell you a little bit about how they are doing iPads in their classroom.
My English department has made many successes this school year integrating technology within the curriculum, thanks to piloting the iPads by 2 of our teachers, and by increasing our use of My Big Campus as a place to showcase student work and share resources and ideas. We have found that this has led to increased student participation and enthusiasm while introducing and improving technological skills. One application we used this year was Doceri. Doceri was used to create a newscast based upon the novel A Separate Piece. This included multi-page presentations, animated sequences, and recorded audio voices to relay character viewpoints and reactions to a significant incident in the novel. They were reporting the news.
Padlet is an easy and versatile virtual graphic organizer that students create. It was used as a written outline to plan a comparison essay with the English 1 students. It was also used to reinforce author's craft in depicting how characters are developed by the English 8 students. This was a fun and creative alternative to a written outline, but required the same amount of understanding and planning. Students posted their Padlets on My Big Campus and saved them to their My Big Campus documents where they could be easily accessed for future reference.
Currently, students are creating a character analysis using Pic Collage. Students will demonstrate their understanding of character analysis by creating a visual representation using quotes, pictures, and major events from the novel.
In addition, teachers took turns making a screencast for each chapter in To Kill a Mockingbird and posted them on My Big Campus. This effort was made because research indicates that young people benefit from listening to good reader models in terms of developing appropriate expression and fluency.
Another benefit we have found is that these experiences with technology benefit both the sophisticated student and the novice. More able students help the inexperienced, which creates a classroom where all students actively participate.
Okay, just a little, it's always good to see in a window of what's happening. Nancy, the top left one is a short little video too. And again, what you will just see is, if you if you ever get a chance to go inside a classroom when the kids are actually doing the devices, that's how you most see the impact, is you sit back and you just watch how the kids are engaged, how they help each other now, and they're all having success, which is always our key. Okay, so we also have Angie Howard here, who is part of the iTeach group for grades 3 through 6, and Angie has the opportunity to have used iPads most of the time in her classroom and the netbooks, so she's going to give you a little insight into what's happening in her classroom.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate enough to be on this iTeach team, and I use the iPads most of the time, and I have used the netbooks, and we have used them for a lot of things. I have a Poplet up there, and that's one way, and it is a graphic organizer like they mentioned in the other one. And that particular one is just on how types of material light can hit, and they had to go through and they had to put that as the main thing in their graphic organizer, and then they had to go online and find a picture and put the definition, so I knew that they knew what this meant. And then after they did this, we put them on My Big Campus on a discussion board so they could go through and see each other's and see, you know, if they did make a mistake or whatever, and oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. We've also used a photo story, which has been great, and that was mentioned earlier with the microphones they mentioned, and we had a lot of toilets flushing in ours because they were sitting, it wasn't a traditional classroom, they were sitting, you know, in the hallways and stuff, but they really enjoyed that. One of the biggest things, though, for me, I was scared to death when I was first put on this iTeach team on how am I going to get to implement all this. It's going to be a lot of extra work in my classroom. And I don't really have, do I have the time to do all this? It is not a lot of extra work, and I want all the teachers to realize that. It's just taking what you already do and just kind of switching it up a little bit, but it's not a lot of extra work at all. And the kids, they're so much more engaged. You can see the excitement on their faces. When we take tests, they mentioned the My Big Campus stuff, and they are taking a test and they get instant feedback, and they are bringing it up to me and say, well, I thought it was this answer, and we discuss why it is that, and they can, we can go back and we can, fix it if we need to. My Big Campus also, like Linda said, quite honestly, last year I did not like it at all, but this year it's become a little bit more user-friendly, and we use it in my classroom all the time. We have discussions. They can go on and get if they're absent, they can get their homework off of there. I collaborate with other teachers and share things with teachers, and they share them with me that we make in the class for our classes. And the other big thing that my class is really liking is the Quizlet, and Linda did mention that, and I've got to say thank you to Linda, by the way, while I'm here, because she has been a wonderful asset for my classroom, helping me when I need it. And but the Quizlets, the kids love that. That's a new way for them to learn their vocabulary in my science and social studies classrooms. They can go on there and they have flashcards, they can play games, and they're really enjoying learning their vocabulary. And I just got to say that I thank you guys for allowing me to be part of this team, and it's great, and I hope all the teachers get to do it, use it. So.
Thank you.
I feel like it's what a classroom should look like now. To go into a classroom that's not using those tools, you want to be able to provide that for them because it is so powerful for our students. That's the way they learn. We are transforming. And as Angie mentioned, I do want to reiterate what I have, if you watched this program develop over the last several years, when we first started iTeach, it was all about, teachers thought it was more about bringing in big technology projects in their classroom. Then they were using technology in the classroom. And Linda and I have both worked on this mind shift. It's more about transforming daily lessons and thinking differently. And it's hard to convince a teacher until they actually go through the whole process with us. how their classroom will change and how it just truly just integrates now. And I think that's our big thing we're starting to see, and having that availability of the devices in their classrooms, not having to take a whole class, specially plan them to go to a computer lab, log on, you just have the devices there in front of you.
And it doesn't look neat anymore. Whereas kids used to be in desks, you know, in rows. And now you have kids on the floor and kids, you know, getting up and helping each other and collaborating going on. It doesn't look neat. And we have to, you know, we have to,
Kelly's microphone.
I mean, that's okay. And that's what we want, is we want the technology to be used in a collaborative way where the kids are creating, instead of everybody being in rows. I'd hate to say bored with books, but.
But that.
Not engaged, not engaged.
Not engaged, thank you.
So as we're closing, again, we will keep moving forward with technology. We'll start looking at what our plan will be for next year. We have people that are already asking us, how do I be part of the iTeach group? How do I make sure I'm supported again next year? You know, for our iTeach people, we know that our pilot group, we gave them 2 full days again this year, and they were so appreciative to have they had less time than they had last year, but things continue to evolve. When you're done doesn't mean you know it all. So it is so important that we continue to provide this professional development if we want us to continue to grow. I will say we are doing things right, though. I really feel the affirmation this year by having other school districts so interested now and looking at Rolla going, wow, we want to know more of how you're making it happen. And I truly believe that it couldn't be without all of our team, without your support, without our administration support, and with the great team of people that we have on our staff. If we didn't have all of that working together, we wouldn't be where we are. You know, it takes everybody making it happen and believing that it's worthwhile.
Brenda, I have a question about the iTeach teams. With the configuration of our schools, with 7th grade being at the middle school, what was your reasoning for having the iTeach teams be 3 through 6 and then 7 included with junior high and high school?
Because the 7th grade teams, we did math and English language arts, and for them to be able to work with the 8th grade math teachers and the 8th grade English language arts, they actually have more commonality with them. I'm not saying they don't belong with us 3 through 6, but their whole daily structure is more fitting with the older group, and so it's actually worked great for them to have time to talk to each other besides just technology, because it is not all about technology, it's about their curriculum too. So we give them a tool, and then they're with each other being able to brainstorm about how they can implement these in their classrooms. So just that professional development with teams is great.
Okay.
It's really exciting, guys. It is very exciting every time I'm here to present, because I can never see in the future where we're going to be, and I just think, how can it keep changing? But it really just keeps getting better and better, you know, and watching those kids be successful, it is really amazing to sit in their classrooms and take it all in and have the jobs that we have. We have great jobs in this school district.
So you guys presented the other day at the MASA meeting, and I know our 2 legislators were there. What was the feedback from the other school districts and from them? Are they understanding the need for investment in technology?
Do you want to answer that?
Sure.
Well, you may have gotten different feedback than we got.
Well, I think the biggest testimony to that was we had several people approach us after the meeting, the superintendents and the legislators, more to me, and since then we've also had several districts that were represented there email me to ask me if they can come and visit, and they want to see what we're doing. We've had people do that before, like Camdenton, and we continue to talk with them about everything from our organizational chart with personnel down to the investment out of capital projects and our general operating funds to support what we're doing here about redeploying resources. So we were one of 4 districts that were selected to do that presentation. They were supposed to have 2 this week, and I don't know whether they got in Tuesdays or not, but there are several different approaches. Ginger started off, said one that followed us was Liberty, and they're more one-to-one, and ours is more of a hybrid model that best fits our need. We've been places where there have been complete bring-your-own device to the ones also with the one-to-one. So I think it's everything, where along the continuum, from BYOD to one-to-one is what you'll find. And I think the key that they learned from us was that you really have to make it fit your own district, both professional development-wise. We've changed our calendar to try to support that. It really, the outreach from once you decide that you're going to integrate more technology in the classroom, it permeates everything that you do. And so the question that I probably answer most, and it's really hard to answer, you can't, I don't think yet, is how does it impact student learning in terms of the things that appear on an APR? Well, I don't know that's really not it. It's a tool. You've heard teachers talk about it's a way to get kids more engaged. When you get kids more engaged, they come to school more. When they come to school more, they learn more. So it's just part of what we do. The smart boards, everything that we've tried to evolve to, this is that next step. And the interesting thing about it is that it never changes. So once we think we have a handle on how we're moving, everything continues to move forward. So I think it's just meeting the kids where they are, and that's been the biggest shift for us, and how you get it done. So legislators like hearing that. I think it was probably one of the more engaging and supportive meetings I've been to with those dinners, and because it was all about what are we doing in the classroom to help kids. And then the second was the superintendent said, well, I didn't get to talk to you there, but I heard about it. The next day we were back up there for a South Central meeting, and I've had, I don't know, Craig Kelly, half a dozen of them say, well, we heard about your presentation last night, and then emails from that. So I've tried to protect them from.
We don't want to let them get out.
Well,
Well,
otherwise they're inundated with requests and you even sent one. I haven't shared it with them yet. But it's good. It's good. And the nice thing about it's ours. It's just what we need to do to get moving, and a lot of grassroots buy-in and support the teachers in the effort to get it done.
And as I continue to say, what our students know overall still is basic technology, and so to give them equal access to tools and to build their skills together. I've had some of our top students ask me, Mrs. Spurgeon, can you show me how to do this? Because I really don't know how to do things on the iPad, how to create a Prezi, how to do Google Docs, whatever they happen to be working on. So they need those skills also to be productive citizens, more than just Facebook and Twitter.
I think what jumps out at me is what Ginger said at first, and then you all repeated her about engaging all students. You've got a classroom of 25, you may have 20 to 22 engaged and 3 that are lost or thinking about something else, but engaging all of them. So it seems to me there ought to be a way to measure that, to measure a change, even though Aaron said, how do we do that? But even if Angie says, on this test that I've given every year, instead of, I don't know what percentage of my students doing well, but now that bar is raised, or that's gone up. Are
Well,
we
I'm
hearing,
asking that.
Are we hearing those kinds of
I
things?
am, and our pilot group is definitely more cognizant of it. Having done it the second year by giving the Quizlets that you hear us repeatedly talk about. That is one tool that we are using K through adult. And our students are even coming back and asking other teachers, do you not have a Quizlet for this? Because, well, it's more than vocabulary practice. They can ask for a multiple choice test on that vocabulary and practice it. And, I ask teachers, is it making a difference? Because our patrons want to know, is it making a difference? And it is.
And now's the time to be able to measure that, because you've got some that are just starting that and some who are not doing that.
So I am continually asking, on tests if they've tried these tools in place, is it making a difference? And it is. We haven't put together. Yeah, that was all the biology classes. This year, he said, I gave into trying these Quizlets, Brenda, that, you had done, and I couldn't believe, my class average went up over 10% from last year because, it was very similar
That's some
to
of
the
the
same
stuff
test.
I think we need to share,
Right.
hear and share as well.
And so that's why we continue to push certain items it's got to build vocabulary. We've got to build our math skills. I think those are basic skills that we can use these tools for to improve.
And I really like the idea that teachers are starting to teach other teachers and not just relying on, you guys are spread thin already to do everything, so. It's great.
Very good.
Good
Thank you.
job.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Good, thank
Well
you.
done. Thank you all.